Greetings to you, my Peterites. I bring peace to one and all. I'm Peter, your saint, also the rock, which God indeed me call. Don't worry, don't panic, grumble, quibble, or search, for I'm omnipresent, and upon this rock sacredly was built my church. The Cowley fathers from Ireland looked to the city with a foundation. They docked and found Mazagaon, built this church for my veneration. Thereafter deliberated, then decided to build also a school, St. Peter's School, so I told Jesus, now that makes me feel cool. Ha 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 ha. The church was financed by a Mr. Stephen, a resident of Mazagaon. This site, when granted by the government, oh, the choir hymns went on. The singing angelic, but the fathers toiled constantly and did roam the streets of Bombay to find poor children, to give them all a real home. 1874, a few orphans did come, under the care of these priests. They trained, they studied, played games and more, gobbled food when at the feasts. As the number increased, more money was raised. By now it was 1878. A small school was set up on March the 1st, and warm food on every plate. As time went on, by 1878, the number of orphans they grew, 72 girls and 30 boys, surprising. Why the boys so few? 'Cause 1881, the All Saints Sisters gave a building for girls to stay, converted the old cottage hospital to a home, so the girlies don't go astray. Time went on, the Cowley fathers sang. The sisters, they joined in too. The orphanage now booming, the destitutes happy, yet needed something anew. By 1954, the Board of Governors decided to establish a senior school. Khandala House came through, but called St. Peter's, no exception to the rule. The fathers kept toiling day and night, trying to save every destitute child. They pleaded for money to uphold their cause. They prayed, they cried, and smiled. But by 1966, they had to hand over the reins to the common layman. Mr. Duthie took up the colossal load as a challenge to fulfill God's plan. He managed well, opened dormitories more, for he too was a visionary, fostered and strengthened this delicate plant. The budding boarding was abs necessary. He also built Nicholson Hall to increase the number of classes, a true educationist, a father, a guide, big-hearted to the struggling masses. Mr. Oliver was next in line as head to carry on the force and move on. His vision and ideas bore fruit for all, and Cowley Hall through him was born. Mr. Mayall next, who hailed for 18 years, the longest tenure as head. The influx of boarders was at its peak, yet get more, he'd say instead. Mr. Garrett celebrated 130 years with all, spent lavishly, great and galore. Renovation work was his gift to all, made changes on every floor. Mr. Biswas was nice, a self-styled man, God-fearing and loved to pray. Mr. Robbins, his successor, put grass on the field. Back then, the greatest change, I'd say. From 2013, the school was delighted, with Mr. De Monte now shouldering the load. Resourceful, intelligent, always dressed up in his best, suits being his favorite dress code. His changes are novel, not thought of before, like a second session of school he started. His vision is to give more children a chance. For great learning at Peter's he imparted. Well, as Peter, I must say, these principals have done their work honest and pure, and to lift the name of St. Peter so high, their efforts will be rewarded, I'm sure. I'm happy thus far, and I'll pray to God, be merciful on my Peterites therein. And when I'm ordered to open the gates of heaven, every Peterite with love take within.